The moment they realize you've outgrown them is the moment they lose their power. Let's talk about what really happens next. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're having a truly wonderful, boundary-filled day. Today we are tackling a major milestone in trauma recovery and breaking free from toxicity. It's the moment the narcissistic individual finally understands the truth. The control they thought was permanent is gone. You have outgrown them. This isn't just about walking away. This is about a deep and irreversible shift in power. The entire dynamic changes, and it shakes their carefully fabricated reality to its core. If you've ever wondered what goes through their mind in that moment, stay tuned. The moment they realize their main source of narcissistic supply is truly gone, completely, definitively. Today, we unpack the psychological earthquake behind it. Outgrowing a narcissist doesn't start with a bang. It starts in the silence. It begins internally, long before they notice anything is amiss. Think of it like a plant breaking through concrete. The roots grow stronger underground. They gather resilience and self-worth. On the surface, everything still looks the same. You start prioritizing sleep over arguments, choosing quiet contemplation over crisis management, and most importantly, you begin saying no without feeling the crushing weight of guilt they expertly engineered. This shift in internal focus is your secret weapon, a gradual detox from their emotional poison that restores your clarity. Their first clue that something is wrong usually manifests not as rage, but as confusion. Narcissists operate on predictable cycles. They know exactly which buttons to push. Each one is designed to trigger a reaction: compliance, apology, or explosive defense. When they press the button, say a calculated jab at your career choice or an accusation about your loyalty, and nothing happens, their programming short-circuits. They are expecting fireworks, and instead, they get a calm, almost boring sigh. This lack of expected reaction is their first taste of fear, the realization that their emotional puppet strings might be fraying. They don't jump straight to panic, though. Oh no, a narcissist's mind is far too arrogant for that. They immediately assume it's a phase or a temporary manipulation tactic on your part. They think, they're just playing hard to get. I'll ramp up the intensity. This is when the hoovering attempts or the love-bombing strategies get confusingly mixed with subtle devaluations. They throw mixed signals, hoping to snag you in the emotional net again, believing if they just apply the right amount of pressure or charm, you will revert to your old, compliant self, the self who lived solely to validate their unearned superiority. But the beautiful thing about authentic healing is that it makes you resistant to their usual toxins. When they try to hoover with a grandiose apology or a sudden, unexplained burst of generosity, the old you might have melted, thinking, finally, they see my value. The new, outgrown you sees the strings attached, the transactional nature of their kindness, and the immediate dread of the inevitable crash that will follow. You are no longer focused on what they say they are, but on the undeniable evidence of who they show you they are, and that evidence is rarely redeemable. This period is critical because it forces them to try harder, pushing them closer to the edge of genuine realization. They will manufacture chaos, perhaps starting fights over trivial things, attempting to drag you back into the familiar quicksand of drama. Why? Because if you are fighting them, you are still invested. If you are defending yourself, you are still reacting. Your energy, even negative energy, is their currency. As long as you are engaging in their manufactured drama, their ego is being fed, and their delusion of control remains intact. The true tipping point happens when you stop arguing and start stating facts calmly, treating their dramatic outbursts with the dull detachment usually reserved for a telemarketer. Imagine their theatrical accusation. "You never loved me. And your reply is simply, "That's an observation you're entitled to make," followed by immediate redirection to the practical matter at hand, like picking up the mail or discussing utilities. You've neutralized the bomb. Their emotional grenade has landed, and instead of reacting, you just let the fuse burn out. The sheer shock of this moment is what cracks their facade. Indifference is the antithesis of narcissistic supply. They thrive on either intense adoration or intense conflict. Apathy starves them. When they realize that their biggest, most manipulative move elicits only a shrug, they face a harrowing psychological truth. They have lost relevance in your life. They haven't just lost a partner or a family member. They've lost their mirror, their personal audience, and the emotional battery pack that kept their fragile self-identity operational. This dawning horror is not sympathy-inducing. It's terrifying to witness, because the narcissist is effectively watching their manufactured self die. They panic. Their reality is dependent on external validation, and when that validation source cuts itself off and walks away, they feel a deep existential crisis. They aren't mourning the relationship or you. They are mourning the loss of the power you gave them. They realize that the person they used to manipulate effortlessly has evolved into a sovereign, autonomous adult. What follows is often the extinction burst. This is their final, desperate Hail Mary attempt to regain control before accepting defeat. The extinction burst can manifest in extreme ways: intense rage, threats of self-harm to guilt you back, smear campaigns aimed at destroying your reputation, or even aggressive stalking, all designed to make you panic and prioritize them again. They are essentially testing the boundary one last violent time, hoping you will break under pressure and submit to the familiarity of abuse. But the outgrown you is different. You didn't just set boundaries, you built walls with impenetrable foundations of self-respect. When the extinction burst hits, you don't engage. You enact the gray rock method, becoming as uninteresting and unresponsive as a literal gray rock. Their threats land flat, because they know, deep down, you are no longer afraid of their consequences. Their manufactured drama simply bounces off the shield of your peace, offering them zero emotional yield. This zero yield is the second major blow. They see the detachment in your eyes. They notice that you aren't reacting to the bait. The moment they realize you choose not to play their game, even when the stakes are highest, they understand the game is truly over. This isn't temporary anger. This is structural change. They realize they are dealing with a different entity, one that is emotionally mature enough to see through their elaborate, toxic performance without feeling compelled to participate. The realization that their victim is now stronger than their control mechanism sends them spiraling into a deep, but brief, narcissistic injury. This injury isn't vulnerability. It's rage mixed with humiliation. The shame of being rejected and overcome by someone they deemed inferior is too much for their fragile ego to bear. For them, being outgrown feels like cosmic injustice. How dare this person evolve beyond the role I assigned them? It violates their core belief that they are central to everyone's narrative. And this leads us to the critical difference. They don't see your growth as a sign of your strength. They see it as a monumental failure on their part to control you completely. The realization isn't, "Wow, they are resilient." It's, "I failed to crush their spirit completely, and now they are free to expose me." Their focus immediately shifts from regaining control to damage control, worrying about what you know and who you might tell about their abuse patterns. Your freedom exposes their vulnerability. As long as you were trapped, they were safe and superior. Your successful escape shows the world, and more importantly, shows them, that their power is entirely dependent on your voluntary submission. When you revoke that submission, their illusion of power finally evaporates, leaving them exposed and small. This exposure is their ultimate fear. The beautiful irony here, dear viewers, is that you don't even need to say anything dramatic. Your continued existence, your thriving, your peace, is the loudest statement you could possibly make. When they look at you and see genuine joy, success, and stability, things they often struggle to achieve authentically, they realize their time, energy, and abuse were wasted. They tried to break you, and instead they inadvertently forged you into something unbreakable. They realize you no longer need their approval, their crumbs of affection, or their validation to define your worth. Your internal locus of control is now fully operational. You validate yourself. You approve of yourself. This self-sufficiency is utterly baffling and infuriating to the narcissist because it removes their leverage completely. They can offer nothing that you truly lack, and they can threaten nothing that you truly fear anymore. So, what does the narcissist do when they hit this wall of irreversible change? They retreat, but not necessarily in defeat. They retreat to find easier targets, less evolved supply sources. They cannot sustain the effort required to manipulate someone who has achieved true emotional sobriety. They will try to rewrite history, telling anyone who listens that you were the toxic one, that you abandoned them in their time of need, spinning a tale of victimhood that preserves their inflated self-image. But their narrative doesn't matter anymore, because you are not their audience. You have exited the theater. When they realize you are utterly uninterested in their new melodrama, the pain of the narcissistic injury fully sets in. It's a chilling moment of genuine defeat for them, a realization that this chapter of supply is closed, sealed, and archived far out of their reach. You have simply moved on, and moving on is the ultimate act of power against emotional abusers. This experience, though painful during the process, is your graduation day. It's the moment you stop seeing yourself as a victim who survived abuse and start seeing yourself as a victor who escaped and thrived. The realization on their face is just external confirmation of the profound psychological and spiritual shift that has already happened within you. It's confirmation that your healing journey has paid off exponentially. Remember, their rage and attempts to pull you back are just noise. They are the sounds of a desperate, wounded ego lashing out because its primary defense mechanism, control, has been systematically dismantled. Do not confuse their panic with remorse. It is frustration that their sophisticated manipulation failed. Their tears are for the loss of power, not for the pain they inflicted on you. So maintain your boundaries with unwavering clarity. Dear viewers, the ultimate act of outgrowing a narcissist is recognizing that their perception of you is irrelevant. They may realize you've changed, they may panic, they may rage, but none of it has the power to define your future anymore. You are the author of your next chapter, and they are merely a footnote in your past. A very small, insignificant footnote at that. Keep walking forward, keep thriving, and keep celebrating the quiet victory of your freedom. This journey is not easy, but witnessing the moment they realize they failed to keep you small is the most validating experience in the world. It's proof that your dedication to self-improvement and healing worked. You built a life so good, so secure, and so peaceful that the idea of returning to their chaos is utterly laughable. Their loss is your infinite gain. Thank you so much for sharing this powerful conversation with me today. I truly hope this sheds light on the victory you achieve when you prioritize your peace above their demands. If this video resonated with you, hit like. Share your thoughts in the comments. Tell us how you maintained your boundaries. And share this message with someone who needs it. And of course, if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into healing and self-sovereignty. Until next time, stay strong, stay peaceful, and keep prioritizing that beautiful growth. Take care, everyone.